Hey, what is up, everybody? This is Stevie Breach coming to you with a look back at the Extreme Rules 2009 pay-per-view from way in the back in the day. This is one of the cool WWE DVDs with a Rey Mysterio cover as one of the pay-per-view things. I think that if you go out and you look, you can find this actually as a poster, and if you take a closer look, you can see that it's a whole bunch of the different wrestlers' sort of attire sort of sewn together to make the Rey Mysterio mask. You see a little bit of Kane, you see MVP, Triple H, Matt Hardy. I don't know who that orange and green is. Let's say John Cena, but he wasn't wearing that at that time. So a whole bunch of cool stuff to make up the one mask there for you. So it's been a long time since I've seen this show back in the day. 2009 was years and years and years ago, but by just looking at that main picture on the back, you've got Batista against Orton for the WWE Championship. You've got Hardy, and you've got Edge in a TLC match for the World Heavyweight Championship. And then in a submission match, you've got Big Show and John Cena going at it. I was never a big fan of the Extreme Rules pay-per-view. Extreme Rules took place at the one night only, the sort of ECW pay-per-views that came from back in the day. And this one sort of came out, and every match had some sort of a strange gimmick on it, from a steel cage match to a ladder match, triple threat hardcore match. You've got a no holds barred match for the Intercontinental Championship, a submission match, fatal four-way. You've got a Samoan strap match, and a hog pin match for the Miss America crown. I can honestly tell you that I do not remember anything about Vicky Guerrero versus Santina Marella on this show for the hog pin match. But you go through this, CM Punk and Umaga had a match. Umaga was able to pull out the win, but that wasn't the last we saw of CM Punk there. The Fatal 4-Way, honestly, was a really good match. The submission match really didn't make a whole lot of sense to me. This was coming off of the pay-per-view beforehand. John Cena was involved in a World Heavyweight Championship match against Edge, where Big Show came down and he actually picked Cena up and threw him through one of the big light stands that was at ringside. This was a last man standing match, and it was sort of a surprise because they were paying it off that there was really no link between Big Show and Edge at the time. In this match, Cena pulled out the win against the Big Show. Nothing was really, spectacular about this one. From there we go to the Rey Mysterio versus Chris Jericho. This is the no-hold-barred match for the Intercontinental Championship. This is the match where Rey Mysterio goes for the 619, and Chris Jericho catches him, and as he catches him, removes his mask. Jericho has talked about this match a lot on his podcast, basically saying that Vince McMahon had initially vetoed the finish of the match. He didn't like it. He didn't think that Chris was going to be able to pull it off. But Rey and Jericho went down to the ring the day of the event. Were able to do it, I think, 2 times in a row for Vince, and he was convinced that they could do it on the main stage, and they would look like fools if they didn't pull it off. So they did it, and it worked, and it was probably the best finish for that match for Jericho to roll up Mysterio, who was trying to hide his face and was able to lose the Intercontinental Championship to hide his identity. Jericho got the win there. From here we go to Christian, Tommy Dreamer, and Jack Swagger battling it out for the ECW Championship. This sort of gimmick came together that Tommy Dreamer's ECW contract had expired, and Tiffany granted him a one-day contract. Here's your chance. Go out and win the ECW title. If you don't do it, you're done. And if you win, we'll re-sign you, and you can continue on with your ECW career. They never really brought up the fact that Tommy Dreamer had beaten Taz for the ECW Championship years ago. Actually, it was back when Mike Awesome was the ECW champion. He had signed a contract to leave to go to WCW, and while under WCW contract, he had to come back and lose the ECW title. And the only thing that they could really come up with is that WCW didn't want to lose to a nobody, so they had to bring in Taz from WWF. So if you go back in the history and the archives, you can find a match in ECW that pairs a WCW wrestler against a WWE wrestler. That would get us to the next pay-per-view with Dreamer would beat Taz to become ECW champion for the first time, and immediately lose the belt to Justin Credible. And that would start Justin Credible's career, and well, not start his career, but start his mainstream push in ECW. From there, we go to, we'll talk about this match first. Orton versus Batista, where Batista would get the win in the steel cage match, becoming the champion, then show up to Monday Night Raw, where he was jumped by Legacy. This was done to cover up the fact that he had torn his bicep and was going to need some time off. So basically, Orton was given the belt back. He won, I think, a fatal 4-way for the championship. Triple H returned and would become his new sort of rival going into the Bash 2009. And in the main event, we had Jeff Hardy defeating Edge. I think at this point, it was to become the World Heavyweight Champion for the first time. A very, very cool, proud moment. But as he is celebrating, he is cashed in upon by CM Punk. CM Punk comes in, cashes in the Money in the Bank briefcase. This, of course, would start the heel turn of CM Punk, which would then lead to the Straight Edge Society. It would lead to the SummerSlam main event of the TLC match between Jeff Hardy and CM Punk, where Jeff Hardy would lose, and then Jeff Hardy would show up on SmackDown, and he would be forced to leave the company after losing a loser leave town match on SmackDown. So all in all, this looks like, it's got some matches that aren't great, but it's got some matches that really do hold up and test the test of time. That is pretty good stuff. So here's the Extreme Rules 2009. I definitely tell you should go check this out on the WWE Network and see what it is.